Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview Sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.
Welcome to the podcast. This is your co-host, Seth Greene. Today I have the good fortune to be joined by Jeremy Miner. He is the chairman of Seventh Level, a global sales training company with headquarters in Sydney, Australia. He's been featured in Forbes, USA Today, Entrepreneur, Thrive Global, Yahoo Finance, Disrupt Magazine, and a host of other publications on the topic of sales persuasion and the role of psychology and human behavior in the buying process. His new book, The New Model of Selling to an Unsellable Generation, co-authored by Jerry Acuff, CEO of Delta Point, is being published early fall of 2021. Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure. Actually, I had Kevin on my show about 8 months ago, and now we're back here talking. So love you guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you. We appreciate it. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you get started?
Well, I first got my first sales job in the summer of 2000. I was a young, broke college kid. If you can only imagine, I went into this recruiting meeting. They hired everybody because it was a straight commission job. You know, if you had a pulse, you're getting hired. And, you know, they basically gave us a couple of days of training, gave us a script, you know, drove us out in a van in a neighborhood. We were selling like alarm systems door to door. I was 21 years old, never sold anything, and basically said, hey, go make some sales. And at that point, I thought selling was just going to be easy because that's what everybody told me that recruited me, you know, that I was going to make all this money. But I started knocking on doors, talking about my features and benefits of the product and how it's going to help them. And it was the best this and the best that and all that stuff. And I started to notice very quickly that I started getting a lot of objections like, we don't need it. We can't afford it. Your price is too high. You know, I need to think it over. Can you call me back a week, a month, a year later? And I realized after a while that what I'd been taught probably needed to be a little bit more advanced.
Absolutely. So during your 17-year sales career, you were recognized by DSA, the Direct Selling Association, as the 45th highest earning producer worldwide out of 100 million salespeople. So obviously a lot changed from the not cold knocking on doors, selling alarm days. Talk a little bit, I know the longer version's in the book, but talk a little bit about the evolution of your psychology, in your selling methodology.
Well, you know, basically what happened is, you know, after probably about 7 or 8 weeks of like nonstop rejection, objections from what the company was teaching me and what I was reading from what I call the old sales gurus, I realized that, you know, this way that they're teaching me just doesn't work that well, right? And there's a whole story into that. But I remember one day in particular, like this is my aha moment, if you want to go back to it. I remember sitting on the curb, the end of the day, had just worked 12 hours, had made 0 sales. So you make 0 sales in straight commission jobs, you make 0 money. I'd made 0 sales for the whole week, okay? And I remember my sales manager picking me up. And right before that, I remember like sitting there on the curb and it was like hot and like humid and I was sweating to death and my legs were like exhausted from like walking all over the planet Earth, you know, selling these alarm systems. And I remember thinking like, do I want to keep doing this? Like I'm making no money. Like maybe selling just wasn't for me, right? And so I remember the sales manager picked me up in the van. He put in a Tony Robbins CD that literally changed everything for me. Okay. And I might be butchering what Tony said, but Tony said something to the effect that most people fail in whatever they do because they don't learn the right skills that are necessary to succeed. They don't learn the right skills. Now he goes on to say that everybody's taught skills, but people who fail are the ones who are not taught the right ones. So that was kind of like the aha moment that maybe what I had been learning from what I call the old sales gurus, right? Or my company, maybe they just weren't the right skills. Maybe they were just outdated and didn't really work that well anymore. So at the same time this was all going on, I'm a 21-year-old kid. Imagine if you remember back when you were 21, what's going on in your mind. Going to college, but my major was behavioral science and human psychology. Okay, the study of the brain, why human beings make decisions and they're persuaded to do something or not. And I was learning from my professors and all of these experts on persuasion that selling was really completely different than what the gurus were teaching out there. So what I did is I took that theory from, human behavior experts, okay? How do you get prospects to persuade themselves? How do you get them to pull you in? And I started incorporating that into a sales process, which is now known as NEPQ. It stands for Neuro-Emotional Persuasion Questioning. A little bit more than that, but that's the 30-second overview.
Absolutely. So what is NEPQ?
Yeah, NEPQ stands for Neuro-Emotional Persuasion Questioning. Okay, it comes from the data behind behavioral science, which shows that we're the most persuasive when we allow others to persuade themselves. Now, how do we get somebody to persuade themselves? Do we just show up and say, hey, John, persuade yourself, and here's my wire directions, wire me the money? No, you have to learn specific skilled questions, when and how to ask those questions in a step-by-step manner that gets the prospect to want to pull you in, to want to engage with you, to want to open up to you. Whereas traditional selling teaches you to push, 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 and the prospect pushes back, right? A lot of objections. What we train companies and salespeople like is how to use human behavior to get the prospect to want to engage and actually want to open up.
Awesome, King. Obviously, we don't want you sharing the secret sauce. We want everyone to go get the book when it comes out and to learn more about 7th Level. But can you give us some a couple examples?
Well, yeah. Let me preface it with this. So one thing we each have to understand as a human being, the way we're wired, okay, consciously and subconsciously. So in every sales conversation you're in, whether it's in person, whether it's in Zoom, whether it's in a boardroom meeting, whether it's face-to-face, it does not matter. Your prospect is picking up subconsciously. They're picking up cues, verbal and nonverbal cues based on your tonality, your body language, and what you are saying and or more importantly, asking that triggers their brain to react in one of two ways. Now, if you don't know what that means or what to do, the right questions, it triggers what's called fight or flight mode in most people, okay? Where they get really defensive, they reject what you're offering, they throw out objections, and they try to get rid of you. Now, if you do know what you're doing, if you know the right questions, if you know the right tone, the right pausing, verbal pausing is very important. It triggers the brain subconsciously to actually open up to you, to become so curious enough that they want to engage with you and actually open up about what's really going on. So, I mean, I could give you 1,000 examples of questions, but one in particular question that you have to ask if you're a sales professional that wants to make a lot of money as a salesperson is you have to ask what we call consequence questions, okay? Now, consequence questions allow the prospect you're talking to look at and view the consequences of what will happen or the ramifications of what will happen if they don't do anything about solving this problem. So I'll just give you a generic one, for example, but you might say, so, and this is towards the end of the conversation, but what are you going to do if nothing changes though? In this problem, you repeat the problem, starts getting worse the next 3, 6, or 12 months from now? Or, John, what are some ramifications of what will happen if your company doesn't do anything about solving this? Now, those are generic. We tweak those for different industries, but that's a consequence question that allows them to see what are the ramifications or consequences of what's going to happen if they don't do anything about solving these problems they've just told themselves they've had from your skilled questions.
That is awesome. Now, this scientific method of selling that you've created has helped over 141,000 salespeople in 37 countries. How were you able to, and I'm sure that number's changed and grown since then, but how were you able to get to help so many people?
Well, we spent a lot of money on Facebook ads. So we got out there pretty quick. I mean, 7th Level is only a 3-year-old company. So we started out very quick. And our first corporate client, believe it or not, we didn't start like mom and pop shop. We went straight to Google AdWords. So our first corporate client was 4 divisions of Google AdWords, their inbound, outbound, cloud division, and also like in-home services. We got them a 244% uplift increase in the first 3 months after we trained them. That was even before we came out with our virtual training platform a few years ago. That was just me being there in their offices. So we started off, we got a little credibility with that. And we just do a lot of marketing and just word spreads. I mean, we have, I want to say, close to 5,000 plus testimonials right now that are big testimonials. These aren't like, oh, I really enjoyed the content. We don't count as a testimony. These are people like, hey, I was a salesperson. I sell medical device sales and my income went from $6,000 a month and now I'm making 35 grand a month. Or, hey, I sell coaching and now I'm making 25,000 a month in commissions. Or, hey, my company was here and now we've 10x our results. I mean, these are big, massive results. So if you get results for your clients, they start to refer you to a lot of other people. And that's just kind of how we've grown so fast.
Absolutely. With
We
all
just
of
won
that,
the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies award as well. We don't know what we're ranked. We're supposed to know in about 2 weeks, but we were out of 7 million companies. We're ranked in the top 5,000. So we'll see if we're at 4,999, we'll take it.
absolutely. Well, congratulations in advance on that. With all of the success you've had, what's your biggest challenge now?
Well, I think the biggest challenge that we have is really, and I don't want to say challenge because I think with challenges come opportunities, right? But that's the way I look at challenges. But one of the challenges that we've had to have in the last 6 months is we actually had to stop marketing as much because we were growing too fast. So we have 67 employees right now. And we were literally we were growing so fast. We're like, whoa. Like if we keep growing at this path, we're not going to be able to fulfill for some of these clients. So we actually had to hone it down and started going back to the drawing board and be like, okay, we need 3 more account managers. We need 12 more salespeople. We need this person. We need that person. We're slowly hiring for that. And it's frustrating for me because I know that we could be twice as big, but we have to be able to put the right infrastructure in there to be able to get to that point. And when my CEO came to me, like, hey, we're going to have to slow down the marketing. We're going to have to do this because we're growing way too fast. That was a good problem to have, but now we're getting back to that infrastructure to be able to grow that fast.
That's incredible. And that is a great problem to have, much better than the alternative. What do you like best about what you do?
Well, what I like best about what I do, so I stepped down as the CEO because I started 7th level really by myself 3 years ago. I was a CEO trainer doing everything, right? Like a small business would be. And about 15 months ago, I stepped down as a CEO and had somebody take over that role that's really talented at running the business. And it allows me to do all of our training content. It reminds me to do all the training. And that's really what I like to do. And that's my specialty. So I'm kind of in my own lane and I really focused on that. And I can do really well with that. Running the business side, I have the right person doing that. And that's really caused us to grow rapidly for sure. So I guess I just enjoy training salespeople. I know it sounds kind of cliche or dumb, but I actually like what I do.
No, that's fantastic. That's how it's supposed to be. Yep. So how do you market and position yourself against the millions of old school generational sales training books, products, courses out there? How do you differentiate yourself? How do you get people to realize the difference?
We do exactly what you just say. That's how we differentiate ourselves as old school, hey, here's the way you've always been taught how to sell. Okay. And we go different examples, but the consumer of our time has changed because of the power of the internet, especially social media. Prospects of today are far more skeptical, far more cautious. There's various reasons for that, the internet and social media being one of those. But because of that newfound power, they'll no longer be manipulated by pushy, pressury salespeople that are wanting to pitch them all the time because they know they have many choices to choose the exact product or service that you offer. Okay. So we position ourselves as the new opportunity, which we really are. And then what we do is the way we market our business, I'll give you a little trade secret, is we don't just market like, hey, book a call with us or anything like that. We basically do 2 or 3 minute video clips and we have hundreds of them all over the place, 2 to 3 minute video clips of little sales tips. And then after that, we just invite them on a CTA to join our free Facebook group, and they can just join our free Facebook group. They learn more about us and they basically just raise their hands that they want to learn about how we can train their companies as well. So we just indoctrinate them with sales training that works. And a lot of them go out and get results with that. And then they want to learn everything.
I love that you're delivering results in advance. Talk a little bit about the book.
Yeah, so the book is co-authored by a good friend of mine now named Jerry Acuff. He owns a company called Delta Point. It's one of the largest sales consulting companies in the world, actually. He specializes in pharmaceutical sales and stuff. He has Johnson & Johnson, the biggest Fortune 100 and 500 companies as his clients. It's been doing it for 30 years. And so we wrote a book together about how selling has changed, because a lot of salespeople, you just don't know what you don't know. Like when I first got into sales, I just didn't know what I didn't know, right? So we basically help salespeople and companies open their eyes of how the consumer has drastically changed. And then we give you a game plan on actually what to do to counter that, so you can really scale your companies, or if you're a salesperson, really grow your book of business instead of beating your head against the wall, hoping and praying that something you're going to say is just going to magically get people to buy from you. And I call that hopium. It's a drug that so many salespeople and entrepreneurs are on, where they think they can just pitch and pitch and pitch, and that something they say is going to get everybody to want to buy from them. And it's just such a hard and unpredictable way to make a living. So that book really focuses on how selling has changed, and we give you a blueprint of what to do about it and certain questions to get your salespeople to use, so you can start selling to an unsellable generation.
That is awesome. Talk a little bit about the online learning platform.
Yeah, so we have a big online virtual training platform with a company called Lightspeed VT. Bradley, if you've ever heard of him, he's actually one of our clients. We actually train a lot of his salespeople now as well. And so our virtual training platform, it's about 22 hours of virtual training content from everything in the sales process from A to Z. A, starting with, how do you connect with your prospect? Like, what type of connecting questions do you need to ask to take the focus off you and put it on them? All the way to, problem awareness questions that allow the prospect to see in their own mind what their real problems are and why they have those problems, the root cause, and how the problems are affecting them, okay? All the way down to the end of the sales process, whether you're selling a one-call close or a two-call close or more of a complex selling environment, B2B close, all the way to commitment questions that get them to commit to take the next step and purchase what you're offering, to actually solve their problems and get them where they want to go. So we have a 21-hour virtual training platform that we keep adding training in. So we started it 2 years ago with 11 hours. Now it's going to 21, 22. This next quarter, we're adding another 4 hours. So eventually, we'll just have everything a person needs to do anything in sales, regardless of what they sell. So it's good.
Awesome.
Supposedly, we've been told.
Right. For our folks who want to learn more about you, 7th Level, the online training platform, and the book, where is the best place for them to go?
Best place to go is our Facebook group, Sales Revolution. So if you go to Sales Revolution, I believe we've sent you the link. You can post it in here. Sales Revolution. Once they join it for free, of course. There's like a 3-question survey. So we find out what industry they're in, what type of training they're looking to learn, how to sell more. And right when you join, we just tag every group member that joins. That group has about 8,000, 9,000 people in it. We just started it 6 months ago. It's just growing rapidly. Business owners and salespeople alike will tag you, and we just message over to you a free training on how to prevent objections from even happening. It's like a 35-minute masterclass on objection prevention, how to prevent the objections from even happening, so you don't have to even handle objections, because they don't exist if you know the right questions to reduce those. So yeah, just Sales Revolution, I think, would probably be the best place for them. And I can send you a link, and they're welcome to join that for free for sure. We go live in that group about 4 to 5 times a week with different tips, different trainings, and we give out little slices of our content here and there to help people sell more of their products or services in hundreds of different types of industries at this point.
Awesome. Well, anything else you want to share before we wrap up that I didn't think to ask you?
No, I mean, there's a lot we could share, but selling is all selling is really about change. Okay. That's what sales is in a nutshell. It's all about change. It's about how good you are with your questioning skills to get your prospects to view in their mind that it's far less riskier for them to change their situation, solve their problems, purchase what you're offering, than it is to do nothing at all, staying in the status quo, and nothing ever changes, which is more risky. So you have to learn the right questions that allow them to see that and view that in their mind, and purchasing what you're offering to get them where they want to go seems cheap compared to staying in the status quo, problems stay the same, and they don't get what they want. That's all it's about.
Makes sense. This has been Seth Greene with Jeremy Miner of 7th Level. Jeremy, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Seth.
Thanks everybody for watching or listening. We'll see you or talk to you next time.
Do you need money to fund your idea, product, or service? Are you ready to take your business to the next level, but need capital to get it done? Kevin Harrington has heard more than 50,000 pitches and knows how to help you make the perfect pitch to get the funding for your entrepreneurial dream. He's distilled the process down in his perfect pitch cheat sheet, and it's yours for free. Just text PITCH to him right now at 727-888-2100. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 right now and claim your free perfect pitch cheat sheet. Text PITCH to 727-888-2100 to start funding your dream today.
This show has been produced by Market Domination, LLC. To discover how you can have your own show completely done for you and turn it into a real published book and become the authority in your marketplace, go to www.marketdominationllc.com/podcast offer.